Here for another weekend of wonderful motivation talk. Yes, we're not putting certain words into use, and we're working on time limitations, so that you can tell by this sign that I will be checked from time to time on how much time I'm using. Sort of like when I was teaching, and that time on task stuff, which I never was very good at. Some kid would say, "Hey, Mr. James, what about?" And 45 minutes later, I'd have the answer. And by that time, the teachable moment and most of the kids' patience was gone. Anyway, for those of you who out there who are watching this, and I can think of one or two people, but I can't imagine more than one or two people. For those of you watching this, it's coming to you from the gym. For those who enjoy good hypnosis, come to the gym. It's good. Get hypnotized. Ooh. Get over your problems. Forget your worries. Ooh. That, and you might get some nice stuff. Julie here sells some really nice things. And some of them are not hard to find, but they're hard to find when you want them. So come here and you'll find what you want when you don't know.
For instance?
When you want them. Yes. For instance, this nail file. Bejeweled nail file. Now this is something you really enjoy. And it's only $1.50?
Yes.
$1.25. $1.25. $1.50 for those who don't like us. For those who do like us, it's $1.25. Anyway, that's just one of the items. I'm not sure if I'm still on the first minute, but what I'm going to aim with this week is I'm going to talk about, I get a lot about names. I get a lot of people who ask me, like, how'd you get a name like Hash? And I tell them, well, my father said that, it was too cold that night, so he didn't get up to change the heat. So him and my mother had to figure out some way to stay warm in that New Jersey winter, so I came 9 months later. And that's how I got the name Hash. Anyway, that's our word of the day. Moving right along, since I've been on Google or Facebook or whatever, I've been noticing there's a lot of James Hashes. There's a lot of Jim Hashes. I'm really fascinated, how many there could be, but they come from all varied places and all walks of life. It's not just myself, security officer to the stars, and, wit extraordinaire, but it's also people like the James Hash in Butte, Montana, one of the greatest chiropractors you'll ever want to visit, or the James Hash in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who apparently is the plumbing king, or the James Hash in Raleigh, North Carolina, or is it Greensboro, North Carolina, who is going to be a representative, I think, to the Junior Olympics. And I'm sure there's a James Hash that's real tall and plays basketball, and there's a James Hash that's real short and rides a pony, as a jockey. There was an African-American James Hash who was a SEAL living in San Diego, California. I don't think I'll be being confused with him anytime soon. But anyway, to make my point, there's a lot of James Hashes. And when you Google your name, it's really fascinating. How many people have your name? And when you have one of these names that you loathe, you go through childhood, kindergarten, corned beef, and then you get into junior high, and they say, oh, Hashy, shit. And then you go in the military, it's like, hey, it's Hash Mark. And then you get in with computer people in college, and they say, oh, don't rehash that argument. And then you get in with people that are really good on the internet, and they say, oh, is that's your hash mark, or what do they call that thing? I can't remember. Anyway, I just like to watch television and hear how many times they say hash, because to the non-hashed person, it just goes over their heads. But to the hashed person, this is your name being used in vain. You know, as if you were, short of some small puppies, I'm not God to anybody, but it's, let's say if you were God, your name would be being used in vain. Anyway, that's the point there. I'm really quite taken back there's so many James Hashes, because I thought I suffered in silence, semi-silence, or at least I suffered on the internet where nobody was watching, which is what I'm doing right now. But there's a lot of James Hashes. I don't know how many of them have the nickname Flash. Now that could narrow it down a bit. And I got that nickname because I used to have a really quick temper. And I used to be really fast. Now I don't really have the temper. And I'm not as fast as I used to be. Certain things I'm still fast. But most things, okay, I've lost a few steps. Anyway, but that's what, you know, it would be interesting to find out how many people are named or nicknamed Flash who are named James Hash. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about this week, and we're not using the word anyway. But that's what I wanted to talk about this week, and we're pretty close to the end of our show. And I just want to remind you to come into the gym. We're open Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 6. 11 to 6. And if you're really interested in hypnotic things, or talking to somebody about hypnosis, giving up cigarettes, stopping eating, stopping, weight control, not stopping eating. Sleeping better, and things like that. Avoiding people like me, I guess. You could come in here. It could even help your love life. Hypnosis did wonders for Julie's love life. The minute she saw me, she was hypnotized, and I was hypnotized. We were both hypnotized. Anyway, that's the point with that. If anyone, it doesn't have to be a person more than one, if anyone is watching these things, please send an email or a text or something on Facebook and say, yes, I'm watching. Here's a topic I would like you to talk about. Because there's so many topics I could talk about besides bullet ice cream or French fried frog legs every Friday, or how to get chafed by wearing duct tape on your pants in Central Europe. But anyway, I'm closing now. This is the end. So I will see you next week for those of you who are watching. And please, come to the gym. It may not mean much to you, but it means an awful lot to us. Come to the gym. It's good. Did it stop?